folks, welcome to this week's Ag Report. So it's springtime, and just like we have in years past, we thought we'd give a little bit of a hay report. Maybe you've got some horses or cattle, and maybe you've fed the last of the hay that you purchased in 21. You got green grass growing. Most folks will generally start thinking about replenishing their hay pile, their hay stack, before it gets too far into the summertime, because we live in Texas and it's dry land around here. We have droughts pretty regular, and it can get hard to get hay. So as you're shopping around and you're looking for hay, I wanted to give you some things that have changed since 21, and they're going to affect you if you are looking for fertilized hay. Doesn't matter if it's fertilized Sudan or fertilized coastal Bermuda grass, fertilized small squares or round bales. It doesn't matter. Fertilizer's the key here, the key word, and that's what's changed a whole lot. So we're going to talk about round bales of hay, and we're just going to kind of talk about good averages. Okay, so your round bales, if you've been looking for fertilized hay, in 21, you probably bought that stuff for maybe $55, $65, $75 a roll, something like that, depending on how many you bought and where it was, or if you went to a feed store or something like that, it could have been a little bit more. But anyways, those are probably averages that aren't too far off. So this year, what has changed is last year that fertilizer was running around $350 per ton. Okay. Right now, as of last week, that same fertilizer, and this is the time to be putting that fertilizer out on the hay fields. That same fertilizer is $1,200 a ton. So let's kind of talk what that means to you as the consumer. Okay. Typically, if folks have a good hay meta and they're trying to take care of it, properly and make a good yield and good quality hay, they're going to put, about 300 pounds per acre of fertilizer, 200 to 300, but 300 is kind of, if you're really trying to do good and build up your soil. Now, let's talk about yield. Okay. Now, remember, we're dry land. On average, okay, we're going to talk average. Generally, your spring cutting will be a little bit higher. Your fall cutting will be a little bit lower, okay? But on average, you're going to make about 3 round bales per acre, something like that, okay? And we're just, like I say, we're talking averages. Maybe you're thinking, oh, well, I make 4 or 5 or something like that. Yeah, but let's take the good and the bad on average, okay? So if you divide $1,200 per ton and you're putting out a rate of 300 pounds, that fertilizer right now is going to cost you $181 per acre just for the nitrogen fertilizer. That's not any phosphate or anything like that. Now, in a good fertilized bale of hay, you're going to have some herbicide in there to control the weeds. So that's going to cost you maybe $20 an acre, $25 an acre, depending on if you're putting it out yourself or having somebody do it and what herbicide you use. If you're baling hay, okay, most people have to hire the hay to be baled. That's going to cost you about $30 per roll to get it baled because of fuel, parts, the net wrap, twine, that kind of stuff. It's all gone up. I know it sounds like a broken record, but y'all know this by now. Everything has gone up. So the break-even point for that hay, so meaning the property owner or the person that's farming that land, he hadn't even paid the rent or anything like that for the land. The break even is $110 per round bale. Now, that's what I was telling you, that same bale of hay you may have bought last year for $60, $75, something like that. So, be prepared. If you're pricing that hay, it could be a little bit cheaper, than that 110. Maybe they put out 200 pounds of fertilizer, something like that, kind of cut that rate back to keep that expense. But the point is, with fertilizer included, if you're specifically looking for fertilized hay, it is going to be exponentially more expensive this year. So maybe you're going to go for unfertilized hay to save that cost, get that cost back down. Nothing wrong with that. Just like in years past, remember, you may need to supplement your feed with that, because the protein is going to be a little bit less in that hay. You can send a sample off and get it checked. You can find out exactly what your protein is, what your total digestibility is in there, and then you can compensate. You can make up for that. So don't think that you have to buy that fertilized, but you have other options. Keep those in mind. Like I always try and say, be an educated consumer. Know what you're buying. Know what you're spending your money on. But that's why I wanted to share with you today is why you may get sticker shock if you call up your regular guy and say, hey, I'd like to get another load of that hay, 20 more rolls or something like that. And he hits you with $100 a roll or $110 or something like that. When did you have a little bit of backstory of what he's passing on to you? It's that cost. Fertilizer started going up about a year ago, this month roughly, when the tariffs started being talked about, and then they were applied, and it had gone up to around $800-900 a ton, and then about 45 days ago or so, when the invasion started there in Ukraine, then they jumped again and hit that $1,200 mark here about 2 weeks ago, something like that. And you may think, well, we'll just fertilize later. Doesn't show any sign of going down anytime soon. I don't expect it to come down. So I don't think you can wait this out this year and think that you can buy it later in the year. Obviously, again, we're dry land here. Now's the time to fertilize, because we're getting some rains and some moisture to incorporate that fertilizer. If you choose to wait to see if the price does come down and you get to June or July, usually our rainfall kind of runs out, and it's going to be getting almost too late for that fertilizer to do you any good. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're thinking about delaying your application, something like that. Anyways, I hope this kind of helps with your hay purchasing and what you're seeing out there, what's going on with the market. Last little tidbit is keep in mind also, would certainly encourage you to shop early in the year. I've been farming 30 years, and I just don't feel too good about the moisture outlook for this year. We had a really dry winter. Yes, we've been getting a couple little rain showers, but we haven't gotten a real big soaking rain yet this spring. And usually, the way it kind of seems to go is if when we're supposed to be getting some big soaking rains, we just get little kind of rains, then later in the season, it gets pretty hard to even get a rain. So I'm not feeling too confident that there's just going to be an overabundance of hay May. Hey, the weather's like anything. You wait about 15 minutes and that could change. But anyway, that's just kind of my 2 cents. I'm no weatherman or anything like that. I just know kind of what I feel. It's been a long, dry winter, and we've just been getting little half-inch rains here or there, maybe an inch. Normally by this time in the spring, we've had a good 2 or 3 inch soaking rain, and we haven't had that in a long, long time. So anyways, take that for what it's worth. Y'all take care now.